Alrighty. Oh, not ending. Starting. So, okay, let me just. All right. Why this is playing? Hello, hello. All right, I am Stephen Osborne. We're back again with building Webent. Uh, right now, I'm just doing a quick, probably half-hour stream. Last time we made some pretty good progress on Webent, and then we pushed it up to live. You can go check it out right here. Um, I'm really focused on kind of creating a page builder out of ACF, and then taking that content and rendering it on the front end. So this here, this top fold, this is being controlled through ACF fields that we created, and we can repeat these fields and continue to make more rows with different content and things of that nature. But if we wanted to call on, say, like posts or other tidbits of information that exist otherwise in other places um, of the database, then you know we'd have to create some solutions for that. So right now, this is just putting together some basic HTML with images, some style configurations, which just do inline styles right there. It's not the cleanest approach, but it's a work in progress. It's first iteration. We got something up, we got it working, we can test it, we can expand on it, we can elaborate on the ideas, and then solidify it some more. So right now, we're not going to work on the page builder. Maybe later today or possibly tomorrow, we can flush out the page builder a bit more and then put way more content on this site and then focus primarily on content. But since we kind of had an introduction on that, we got a little something here. It's not the basic content that comes with every WordPress. I thought that we could hit on some other issues. And I made some notes after the last stream to say, all right, next thing to work on are page options, putting in configurations for the pages to help handle the content that is being rendered on the page. For example, this by Webent here, you don't necessarily want that on pages. That's more of like something you want on posts, but we don't necessarily want to get rid of the ability to have that. In fact, it would be nice to kind of configure what information is displayed there, so we can actually elaborate on it, expand upon it, kind of add a tagline, keep metadata tagline. We could do however which way we want with the page title and the meta. We can expand upon it, but for something like this page, we really don't want to show it at all. We want to hide this, but that's still an important piece of information because that's still the page title, and it should remain for screen readers to read so that people with disabilities are able to identify what page they're on. So even though this web and entertainment dash design and development is a bit of a descriptor of what Webent is, it's still easily it's at the root of the site and thus the homepage. So being at the root and then being a descriptor of the site's title makes it a good title for the homepage, especially for accessibility. But if we don't incorporate this into our design, then there's no need to keep it there. Wouldn't hurt to keep it there and incorporate it into the design, but right now we're not. So we want to have that option. We want to be able to decide whether we keep it or we get rid of it. We don't want to just get rid of it on every single page. So adding configurations like that are pretty easy with ACF. So we're going to add hide title, hide meta, site header settings. So the the header portion, site header up here, we want some settings to help configure the layout and the structure of that, but also be able to modify that site header on a per page basis. Sometimes you want a header that is overlapping and has an opaque background so that you can have this fancy top fold layout. And sometimes you just want the basic, it's solid, it's static site header. So we can look into that. And then there's some more page options like sidebars, where you can decide whether a page has a sidebar, whether it's on the left, on the right, and what sidebar, so that you're not just limited to one sidebar for all pages. You can create new and unique sidebars on a per page basis. Now, creating new sidebars to fill with widgets and everything, right now we're going to have to do that in the back end so that we have more sidebars. But in the future, we're going to look into finding a solution that allows us to just hit a button and it generates a sidebar, and you just fill in the sidebar's title. You fill out the details, and then it creates a snippet, throws it into the theme. That's something that we need to be careful about, because that could be a vulnerable point. But since we're the only developers and we're not allowing outsiders access to our site, we should be fine. But we got to make sure that we are practicing best security practices, using our nonces and all that good stuff. And honestly, security is something that I am informed and aware of, but when it comes to actual implementation, I typically have to research on the fly and then apply what is most either common or standard. What is really just figure out what kind of securities you need and then go from there. Sometimes you got to be a little bit more elaborate. If you get hit with an attack, you got to have certain pinpoints and everything. So anyways, and one last thing for theme settings is footer options for the footers, copyright information, what it's going to say down here. Do we want some widgets for like navigations, for ads, for social media, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to elaborate on this as well. All right. Now, we may not be able to cover all of that within this one stream, since this is a very short stream, but I wanted to kind of go over those and get started with them. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to close this. This is the live site. We're going to open up local by Flywheel. Spotify is always just screaming at me. Okay, I'm going to put this in the corner, such. Go to Webent here, and I'm going to start the site. Starting up, and we're going to visit site. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the top right corner, drag it down, make it nice and big for me, and I'm going to right click on Visual Studio. I'm going to go to Webent. So in fact, I'm going to just get rid of this wp-rig-webent, because I'm going to always want to load the entire asset, or the entire application. And when I say application, the way that Flywheel spins up its local environment is through, it builds an application, and you've got an app folder, config folder, and logs folder. And then in the apps folder, you've got public, and from there it's just a normal WordPress configuration. So let's see here. We're going to drill all the way down to wp-rig-webent, which is our theme. We're going to go cd to change directory, drag and drop, and then npm run dev. New features. Format, modified text, change casing on search and replace. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and close all these from last time. Start fresh. And over here, I get rid of this cache buster and the /. I'm going to do :8181, because that's the port that we have browser sync running. Once this is done, you can see it didn't find it because this is still loading it up. It's finding some issues. I think that these are issues with, is it PHP? CSS source, yeah, front page, not CSS. I think that it might be throwing a lot of errors due to the CSS nesting that I did previously. And it's basically just saying like, hey, we don't like this, but it's supported and it knows how to render the CSS without it. So I prefer to have nested CSS. I feel it makes it a lot easier to organize and identify certain areas within the CSS. Maybe it's just the way that I've kind of taught myself, so it's how I feel comfortable in it. So here we are, localhost 8181. So we could just use what we had, webent.local colon 8181 browser sync connected. Let's go ahead and grab this without browser sync. Open a new tab, wp-admin. Being in the back end, we don't necessarily want, we don't really want browser sync reloading the back end because we might be making edits in the back end that aren't saved, and then we save something in the code that triggers a refresh, and if we have it on the 8181 port here in the back end, it'll refresh, just trying to show us the changes made, and we can end up losing data, or it could just be a headache. So here we go. We got back end, front end, and we got our environment up and running. Great. So as I stated before, we're going to do page options. And so I'm just going to create a new field group. I'm going to call it page options. And I'll go ahead and just publish it right away. Post type is equal to page. Oops. Okay. Now we're going to add a field. This is going to be hide title. Do I want to? Nah, I'm not going to group. Hide title. It's going to be a selection. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm going to put a little bit of music on in the background. Go to stations. Chill. Turn it down. Okay, good. It's pretty low for me. Looks pretty low for you guys as well. Alright, cool. High title. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna put it down just a tad bit more. Would definitely prefer if it didn't have lyrics, just be instrumental, but whatever. Select field. We're gonna go show, or in fact show, and then hide. And default value is going to be show. Select multiple values, no. Return format, conditional logic, all of that, nah. This is going to be 100%. We're going to do all of these 100% because we're going to put them in the sidebar. And the sidebar for pages are already nice and skinny, so you can only really fit one at a time anyways. So then we're going to do hide meta. Again, we'll probably come back to this, create a group, and throw the hide title in that group along with a variety of other options for the title. Like if we want to make it bigger, if we want to align it somewhere else, if we want to give it a background, all that good stuff. And then we'll also go ahead and throw in meta and tagline, just so that we can define a specific tagline, throw it into that header with the same background, same with the meta information, or we can keep the meta out of that top image and just have it at the bottom or in the center, make it fancy. There's a lot of different ways that we can add configurations so that we can have things in all different locations, and then apply specific styles through this our style sheets, or well, that and a mixture of uh, styles that are being passed in through the options that we give it. So here we go. Hide meta, text. Nope, we want a selection. We're going to come down here and same thing. Show, hide. Difference here is we're going to make the default value hide, because we hardly never want to have the meta show, and almost every page we're showing the title except homepage typically. So then all this with 100%. Let's see, we got to make sure that this is all yeah. Okay, so what other page options? Site header settings. So we got site header settings. And we'll just put site header, and we'll make this a group because this is going to be a variety of options for just the header. So then group, and then within the group we're going to have overlap, header underscore overlap. I'll just do overlap because it's in the group. It should be nested within that array. And yeah, anyways. So overlap, this is also going to be a selection of no overlap. So false, no overlap, and overlap. Default value is false. Now the reason why I'm doing false there is because I'm just going to do a check if this is true, or I could say equal to overlap, then do such and such, because we could also give it more values than just overlap. But if it's false, which is why I have false here, then just skip and do nothing and leave it as default. So we'll do that, and default value is false. Now the thing is that this false might be a string, which is still true. So it probably would make more sense to do null. That might end up being a string as well. So we'll just have to test and see what happens. It'll probably come up false, but it may still trigger it to be a false statement. Who knows? I'm not 100% sure at this point, so we'll see. If not, then we could be more explicit with the if statement, or we can modify this so that it's the proper thing. Anyways, again, 100%. We're going to add another field, and we're going to do background. Do we want to give it a color, or just say background? Yeah, let's just do color. This is going to be a color picker. 100%. This is definitely not required. And then background opacity. And this is going to be a slider or a range. Minimum value 0, maximum value 1. Step size would be 0.01. And so basically 1 is fully, you can't see through it. 0 is you can not see it at all. And then you can adjust between the two. And I think, yeah, I thought there was a stylized option there. So let's see, we got background color, background opacity, overlap for site header. I think that's good for now. Let's keep it block. Okay. And I think I typically like site header above hide title and hide meta, because site header comes before the title and the meta. you know, to each their own. It may be more imperative that the title and the meta, because they're more associated with page, and then site header is more outside the scope of page. I don't know. It doesn't matter either way. So we want this to show up on post types that are equal to page, because these are page options. The position, we want it on the side. Style, standard, WP meta box. And the reason that I keep WP meta box is so that if for whatever reason we're having trouble setting a value through the field itself, we can always go down to the meta box or display meta box and then assign the value there. So I'll go ahead and update. We didn't do sidebar, but we'll circle back around to that because that's a bit more complex and a lot more of a bigger feature to tackle. So we got theme settings, page options, and we got a content builder. Now let's do footer options. And since we did settings earlier, I'm going to do footer settings. And this is going to be on the options page. Options page is equal to theme footer settings. And if you might recall, we threw into our function way down here somewhere. There we go. We threw into our functions this snippet straight from ACF, which defines those theme pages. So we could just do theme settings, menu slug, just theme settings, and then theme header settings, theme footer settings. Let's get rid of general, just do theme. Oh yeah, the parent slug has to match the parent slug. So this is the parent, these are children. Theme settings has to match this slug here in order for it to work. You can save it and we can refresh. Oh wait, before we refresh, let's just publish this real quick. In fact, by publishing that, we don't have to refresh at all. Now this is theme settings. We got theme settings, header, footer. Great. So this is going to be options page is equal to theme footer settings. Yeah. Which did we? Yeah, theme footer settings. And what did we do again? Oh, update. Oops. Add field, and we're going to do copyright. Yeah, just copyright. And this is going to be, we could do a text area, but it doesn't have to be huge. You could just do 3 rows, I guess. And there's really, we'll be passing HTML through that as well. We can make it more elaborate so that it's defined, but I think by allowing us to pass HTML, we could just create a very simple HTML snippet for the footer, copyright, and then be done with it. And that's typically, if you want it to be year, then the copyright symbol, then the name of the company with it linked to its homepage, and then a pipe with any other associated partners or relationships. And then within the footer widget and everything, we can do social media and all that good stuff. So let's see. So copyright, yeah, that's about it for that. And then we're gonna add a footer widget. You know what? Actually, we'll come back to this because this is also kind of complex. And if say we want to define exactly how many widgets, or if we want to just use one widget, but define how each widget itself gets handled. Thing is that footers typically have unique ways of handling their widgets, because you might have one long menu and then 2 short menus that stack on each other, and then another block of, but it's not a menu, it's a logo with information, all that stuff. So yeah, it's probably better to just maybe do just footer logo. And this, I guess we can, because even that, like, if you leave it blank, then there just won't be any logo. But what if we by default want to use the site logo, and then we can just make an option here saying don't show any logo, or show the site logo, or show this custom logo. And then if custom logo is selected, then we get a conditional pop-up saying, okay, well then, which custom logo do you want to use? Let's just do that, I guess. So footer logo, this is going to be a selection. And default that, let's say false, no logo, default, or site logo, custom logo. Alright, and then default value will be, I guess, false. And we could do a stylized UI, why not? Footer logo. I guess we could do just keep it at 100, I guess. Or, just don't define anything there. And it should either go 100% or it will dynamically figure it out. Footer logo image. Footer logo image. Now we do an image selection. Yeah, image. And for right now, we'll just keep it default settings image array. I would say image ID is typically the way to go, because then we can just use a WordPress function, call that ID, and it'll serve us up an image very easy. Everything's set, whereas the image array, we have to basically compile all the data from the array. It's a pain. So I find it best to just use image ID. It gives you a responsive source set ready image. Library all, and close field. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and update that. So now we go into footer settings, and we have all our settings here except for, oh, here's the copyright, and we could just do 2020 @ copy. That will make a C in the circle, and then we could just do like a basic link to https webent.net. Or in fact, why not just go to webent.net, grab the URL that we have there, so that way there's no confusion. Doesn't use the www. Title, Webent, and Webent. And update that. We're going to keep it no logo. Oh, we forgot, or I forgot. Let's go back into custom fields. Let's go into footer settings. And let's make footer logo image a conditional that footer logo value is equal to custom logo. And then we'll update. What is this? Oh, this is my local environment, of course. Then we go back over here, and you see you can't select an image now until we go custom logo. Now we can site logo, we'll use site logo, no logo. Right now this is doing nothing because we haven't programmed the functionality in. So let's go over here real quick, and let's pull up footer. Just type in footer. Alright, didn't take me to the correct footer. Got too much open. Alright, close my assets, close my include template parts, reopen assets because that's... Alright, here's our footer, and I was about to say let's just go back and reference how we did it earlier, but this is the typical way. Let's just go ACF options, because this is settings that we're getting from the options page. Actually, yeah. So basic usage, function exists. Oh, that's to create an options page, and then to use the data, we can grab the field, but instead we're going to make a variable. We're going to call it footer options equals get field, and then we're going to come over here. What's it called again? We're using the display field, retrieve a field. I think this is just a simple field. Okay. So, I guess we'll just do copyright. Just don't feel like that's right, but anyways. So instead of, alright, well, this is already get template parts, footer, info. So then we go into template parts, and then we're going to go footer, and then info. Oh, we did content, footer, info. Ahref, it's referencing WordPress, proudly powered by. We're going to get rid of that. I feel like, again, don't want to force people into this pipe. Translators, theme name. I'm going to go ahead and turn to word wrap. WP rig, if function exists, privacy policy, the privacy policy. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and comment that out. I don't necessarily want to get rid of it because it looks pretty useful. This even could be useful if you do want to show your WordPress information at the bottom. You know, of course, you would want to modify this part, the GitHub URL, and yeah. Anyways, so we'll just keep that there as a little snippet, and let's come back here, and I guess just grab the field. Just like such. The field name is copyright. And it's an option. So let's see how that worked. I guess come in here, save the thing I didn't do. Check this out. Now we got 2020, see Webent. Great. Now after that, we can do we're going to open up PHP, close it, just do a quick if get field, and it's footer logo, get field, footer logo, comma, option. Then if this is true, I guess just say if it equals default, then we'll go into header.php, find where we're getting the logo, blog info, template part, header, branding, template part, header, branding, h1, site title, oh, here we go, the custom logo, just grab that, and we'll do that. We'll open up PHP again, else if, and basically copy this. Let's get field for logo option equals custom, right? Yeah, custom. Then how do we do it? We did the ID. WordPress, get image by ID, get attachment image. And then in here is basically this. Oh, let's. Oh yeah, get field, and instead of footer logo, it is now the footer logo image. I guess we could just type image right there. Oops, no, not there. Underscore image here. Close that. Close that. And then and if doing it like that because I kind of broke the way that I was doing it everywhere else. Starting each line with a PHP line. It's kind of ridiculous. Let's just get rid of all that. This is all PHP. No point in being obnoxious. Okay. And what I did right there is I just hold Control and Alt, and then tapped up in order to select multiple lines. Hit Home multiple times. Oh, this is not going to work right now because I messed it up. But basically, like that, and then hold Control and hit right, left, and you're at the beginning of each line, even though they're indented differently. Go ahead and save that. And in fact, let's just open this up a tab, like such. Let's see. There shouldn't be a logo because we didn't set that setting. Theme settings, footer. I'll open up in a new tab. Let's say site logo, update. And then page, place. We got the site logo. Now, if we do custom logo, we can select an image, go to the media library, and I guess let's pick this. Yeah, I didn't set any specifics on the size, and it didn't work. I think WP get attachment. Is it Echo? Nah. WordPress image by ID. Image source, no, just full on image. How to find it? Yeah, I'm in the right place. So, string array. So we could pass a bunch of settings, and of course we can get those settings from. Let's see. So basically right here. But this should be. So let's see, size. Let's go with, let's say thumbnail, I guess. Thumbnail, false, because we aren't an icon. The other should be optional. Perhaps we need to actually put this into a variable. I don't know, I'm just doing this wrong. Instead of get, let's try the field. 93 is the ID. Print underscore R. Oh, well, yeah, that's definitely not going to work because I'm passing a bunch of extra. Let's get rid of that. 93. That's just a variable with the ID number. Nothing. Perhaps I do need to echo it. Am I crazy? I'm not crazy. You do have to echo it. Alright, there's the thumbnail of this image being used as a logo for here. So there you go. And if we, do full, save, we should get the full image. And we do. Alrighty, so there's the footer options. Page theme options, we'll be covering that later today or possibly tomorrow. I'll try to make it back tonight. But it was a pleasure. Hope y'all enjoyed this little snippet of a stream, and we'll be building again later. Thank you.
Peace.